This program is intended for informational and educational purposes only. All views and opinions expressed are the views and opinions of the individuals and sponsors presenting them, and not the LTB network. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Bitcoins and Gravy, Episode 8.
On BitcoinAverage.com, a mill of Bitcoin is trading at 62 cents, or $620 per Bitcoin. Steady as she goes.
Now that's gravy. Welcome to Bitcoins and Gravy, and thanks for joining us today as we podcast from East Nashville, Tennessee. I'm John Barrett.
And I'm Lij Shaw.
We're two Bitcoin enthusiasts who love to talk about Bitcoins.
And share what we learn with you, the listener. Welcome to the show, and thanks for listening.
On today's show, Lij and I talk with Kelly Neal, the founder of Crypto Women Worldwide. Kelly is working to further Bitcoin education and career opportunities for women worldwide.
It's day 2 of the Texas Bitcoin Conference, and John and I meet up with Brian Page, Marketing Director for Invictus.io. Brian talks to us about BitShares, Angel Shares, and the opportunity to have a stake in 20% of the future. Brian gives us exciting news about building profitable, decentralized autonomous companies on the blockchain.
Hey, Lij, what about Vegas?
John, what happens in Vegas is beyond Bitcoin, which is coming in July. We learn more about that exciting event in our conversation with Brian.
We also had the great pleasure of sitting down with the very talented and charming songwriter Tatiana Moroz for a conversation about her musical career and her love of Bitcoin for its philosophical and political capabilities. And after the interview, we plug in the Bitcoins and Gravy record player and give a listen to Tatiana's popular new jingle, The Bitcoin Song.
And finally, John speaks with our good friend Jimmy Song of Colored Coins, who shares some insight about the search for Satoshi Nakamoto and describes his experience as a competitor in the 2014 Texas Bitcoin Hackathon here in Austin, Texas.
So stay right here for more Bitcoins and Gravy.
Hey.
How y'all doing? Y'all here for Bitcoin?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Y'all here yesterday?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
Where's Paula today?
She just had to step out for a minute.
Okay.
I'm just spelling her for a minute. She'll be back out here in probably about 15 minutes.
Your name's Robert?
Yes, sir.
I've got a brother named Robert. It's a good name.
It is a good name.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
Okay, we're here at the Texas Bitcoin Conference with Kelly Neal from Crypto Women Worldwide. Can you tell us what you do?
My name is Kelly Neal. I'm the founder of Crypto Women. Our organization was created to help get more women involved in Bitcoin and reduce some of the tension and scariness that women face coming to new meetings and being intimidated by being the only female or one of the only females in the room. We're here at the Texas Bitcoin Conference, and we partner with the Austin Bitcoin Meetup Group, and the Crypto Women was actually founded here in Austin. So we meet with the Austin Bitcoin Meetup Group Sunday nights at Shoals Beer Garden, and we typically have about 15 to 20 women attending each week, and the numbers continue to grow. We've had visitors from Vancouver, Canada, Colorado, New Hampshire, Florida. Quite a few have come to Texas to visit with us and learn more about Bitcoin, and we have a few women from Houston and Dallas here with us today. Currently, Crypto Women is only in Austin because this is the home base of it, but we're kind of doing a pilot test with Houston and Dallas, and once those are successful, then we're going to start branching out nationwide and inviting other cities to join.
That is so cool. What do you feel like is the percentage of women to men? What's the demographic of Bitcoin right now, and how is that for you?
Well, if you ask in Bitcoin in general, that's a different question than if you're asking at this conference. For example, yesterday I took a picture with 19 women and a Lamborghini and a Ferrari out in the garage over there. Cool. So I've been told that some of the other Bitcoin conferences have had 2 or 3 women at them. So I actually had quite a few women that did not want to be in the photo. They said they were unphotogenic or were just busy. So we probably could have gotten 30 or more, and I've seen even more around today. So I think that this conference, I would say, is maybe 25% women, which is a serious increase of kind of what I've heard from other conferences is maybe 1 or 2%.
It's a great juxtaposition, the Lamborghini to all the Honda and Nissan economy rental cars that are out there. The same thing, all the beautiful women here with all the, the guys into Bitcoin and everything. So I
Right.
like that. I like that a lot.
What makes it even cooler is that Lamborghini we took a picture with was actually purchased with Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one that I read about a while back?
The yellow one out there.
owns
I'm not going to tell you who owns it, but the owner is here, and we really appreciate him and his family bringing it out for us.
That's so cool. So what are some of your immediate plans for the future with your organization?
Well, first, once the conference is over here, we're going to start trying to branch out. There's 2 girls from Houston and then a girl from Fort Worth and a girl from Dallas that are both here. And the Dallas-Fort Worth ones are interested in doing something together. And then the Houston girls actually recently just met, and they're going to be doing something together too. So I'll start visiting with both Houston and Dallas and attending their meetup groups and helping the women get started there. And then once they get started, then probably the next one would be Vancouver, Canada. Esther Tung, she's here today. She's our moderator, and she's also one of the leaders of the Vancouver meetup group. I may be saying that wrong, but she's involved with the meetup group with Bitcoin in Vancouver on our college campus, and she's interested in expanding Bitcoin to Vancouver. So we want to continue with the Bitcoin worldwide, so it would be nice to make the next location be Canada.
Nice. Are you planning to attend the Toronto Expo here in April?
I would like to. Hopefully we can raise some money through Crypto Women or get some donations. On our website, cryptowomen.org, you can go on there and donate, and we have a QR code, and any donations we receive we can use to pay for expenses toward spreading the word among women at other conferences.
Have you been raising money strictly through donations?
Yeah, purely donations, except for today. We have a silent auction going on at our booth. We have over 50 Bitcoin-related items. We have these earrings that I'm wearing. We have a pin. We have a bag of these pins. We have beer mugs, Dogecoin items, tasers. We have tasers. Central Texas Gunworks donated some pink tasers for us that we have to auction. Actually, Central Texas Gunworks also donated a handgun class for 2. So
That'll help if somebody tries to take your Lamborghini.
right?
Or your Bitcoin.
So, that both. So yeah, we have a lot of really neat Bitcoin related items. So come by, and all the money that we receive, we're going to use to, continue. We have a lot of startup expenses because we're a new organization, so we need to build a website. I just paid for the logo to be designed out of my own pocket. So I'm really trying to kind of raise money, and we really work with some of our partners. New Prints out of San Antonio she does t-shirt and banner printing, and she was so nice to help us with our signage. So we really appreciate that. And
Nice.
she also did our table runners. And then Lone Oak Design is an embroidery company, and she made these wonderful shirts for us
Very
that say
nice.
Crypto Women Worldwide that we're wearing here. So we try to support our partners, especially women partners, and we support anybody that accepts Bitcoin.
Right on. So my daughter back in Nashville is hoping that I'll bring her back something special from the Texas Bitcoin Conference. And I'm glad to see that you guys have earrings and necklaces and other things, because now I know what to bring back.
Oh, we have some. My favorite item is the wine set. We have 4 wine charms. They all have Bitcoin. They're different, but they look similar. And then they have a wine stopper with it. We're getting a lot of interest in the Dogecoin leash holder, or the Dogecoin dog tag is another. We have a maternity shirt. We have some baby clothing, a baby bib, a lot of different beer-related items, a trailer hitch cover that says Bitcoin.
Well, she's only 8, so we'll probably skip the wine and beer stuff, but all the other stuff sounds great.
Yeah.
All I can say is I think what you're doing is fantastic, and it's going to go out on the airwaves on Let's Talk Bitcoin, the Let's Talk Bitcoin network, and also on KCAA 1050 AM out of Loma Linda, California. And I think that a lot of people are going to come forward and give you tips, and I think this is going to be the beginning of a lot more women realizing that they're welcome in the Bitcoin community. It's not just a thing for guys. And, guys like Lidge and I, we're single guys, and we get kind of tired of coming to the Bitcoin meetups and all this, and the conferences, and just seeing mostly guys. It gets a little old.
One of the things, quite a few people have told me whenever I mentioned we were going to be here at the conference, they said, please bring real women that are actually interested in Bitcoin. We like the models, but we would prefer to talk to somebody that knows about Bitcoin instead of just looks good to talk to. So we've really done a good job of bringing educated women out here to talk about Bitcoin and inform other women. And last night we had the Crypto Women's Cocktail Party on the rooftop at Lanai.
We missed it. We were so dumb. We missed your party. We didn't know about it until this morning.
We didn't know about it. That's how dumb we are.
Well, it actually kind of got put together at the kind of close to the last minute because Lanai is the rooftop patio bar that we had the event at, but they just started accepting Bitcoin just for us at the event. So when we found out that we could get them to accept Bitcoin, we were like, we're going to have a party here.
The power of women.
Hey, you guys weren't closing us out or something like.
Keep those gravy guys.
You were trying to keep the Bitcoins and gravy guys out, were you?
You asked. There was a lot of guys there last night when they found out about the Crypto Women's Cocktail Party. Every guy that's involved in Bitcoin in this town came and showed up. So yes, we had a great turnout, and we had Girl Guitar Austin and her students out there performing, and then Tatiana Moroz played afterwards and sang the Bitcoin song for us. So it was a really good event, and we also had Indio Beer donate some beer for us, and we got to give away free beer. If you signed up for a wallet, we would give you a free beer ticket.
That's great. Well, so tell our listeners who you are and how they can find you one more time before we say goodbye and thank you.
My name is Kelly Neal. I'm the founder of Crypto Women worldwide. Our website is cryptowomen.org, and you can find us on facebook.com/cryptowomen or twitter.com/cryptowomen, or the Twitter handler just Crypto Women.
Nice.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming up and speaking with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for the interview.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, Lidge and I are thrilled to be here at the Austin Bitcoin Conference, and right now we're talking to Brian Page, the marketing director with BitShares. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Yes, it's very exciting to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Any relation to Jimmy Page?
No, and no relation to the page behind Google either.
Nice. So, Brian, tell us a little bit about BitShares, whatever you want to talk about, man.
Well, I'd love to get the concept out there, what BitShares are. Quite simply, BitShares are digital shares. They're based on the same technology as Bitcoin, but they allow you to issue shares in your ideas, shares in your companies, and actually we're creating several companies ourselves, decentralized companies that we're issuing shares in. So we're kind of taking the technology behind Bitcoin and finding many more uses for it.
Okay, great. You know, Stan Larimer, right? One of the Larimer brothers, is that right?
Yep.
He has been so helpful with me in asking all of the I'm a non-tech person, asking all of the questions about proto shares and about the angel shares and all of that, or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
And he's just, I send him an email, he responds by way of email. He's just a great guy, and I've really appreciated that. So I'm kind of keeping abreast of it in my own non-tech way.
Well, Stan actually wrote the first, Daniel and Stan worked together to actually write the entire idea of the DAC. The first time they released their white paper, the first concept of a decentralized autonomous company came out of Invictus. So that's where it all originated. And so what we're trying to do is do for business what Bitcoin does for money. So make it decentralized, make it trustless, make it instantly transferable. And imagine transferring shares anywhere around the world instantly to anyone from anywhere with no limitations, no minimums, no maximums. All you need is an internet connection. So essentially that's what we're working towards. And Bitcoin, I think that the revolution in Bitcoin is not so much Bitcoin itself, it's the invention of the blockchain. Bitcoin is one use of that, blockchain, open ledgers, all that kind of thing. But there's many, many more uses of it. So Bitcoin does a great job at currency, but there's many more industries and uses of the technology, and that's what we're trying to explore.
Would this be something that would be used more on a large-scale business? Or would it be used for a small company, for local businesses and that sort of thing?
That's a good question. No, it can be used for any size business. I mean, I was just talking to a reporter earlier, and I gave the example of a guy who wants to open a dog grooming business in a small town. Now, that might not be a very exciting idea that would launch a lot of investors to want to buy his shares, but you never know. Really, any idea that you want to raise capital for, you could do on a blockchain, and you could issue shares in. So that's essentially what we're working on. We're building several decentralized businesses right now, and then soon the technology will be available for entrepreneurs to come along and build their own businesses on our open source software and do the same thing.
Do you have any plans to do a BitShares for dummies for people like me?
That's what I wanted to ask, is if you could give us a play-by-play breakdown, say, of the dog groomer creating BitShares and sharing them.
Yeah. Well, we are early on our test networks. We're early on with creating our products. But essentially what we're doing right now is we're focusing on first launching our own businesses on the software. And then soon after that, we'll offer the software up to people that want to create their own businesses. But the best place to learn about how to do that, say you're an investor or you're an entrepreneur, is to come to our event in Las Vegas. It's called Beyond Bitcoin. It's going to be in Las Vegas this July 18th through the 20th. It's going to be the first event that I know of that's specifically targeted for next generation technologies that are coming as a result of after Bitcoin. So Ripple's going to be there. We've invited Mastercoin, Ethereum, all these exciting new companies that are coming up in the space, including BitShares. We want everybody to be there to talk about what does this mean? What's the greater purpose behind the new technology that's come about? So this event is going to be in Las Vegas. It's a great place to come learn about it and also partner with other people to build these decentralized businesses. That's going to be July 18th through the 20th. It's in Las Vegas. And it's going to be very different because this event is actually going to be three things we're aiming for. First of all, it's going to be entertaining, which is something a lot of these events aren't. We're going to actually have Vegas-style entertainers there. We're going to have Cirque performers. We're going to have all kinds of wild surprises there for you. So when you get there, it's going to be very exciting. The first night, we're going to have a big kickoff party. It's just going to be a reception where the drinks are flowing, everybody's having a good time to actually make connections and relationships, because that's very important at these events. So it's going to be very entertaining. Secondly, it's going to have a lot of great content. We're going to have speakers you've never seen before in the Bitcoin space. We're working on getting some very well-known people that'll be at this event that you haven't actually seen before at other Bitcoin events. But we're also going to have some of the experts in the Bitcoin-related fields all coming together to talk about decentralization and what it means. The third thing is we want it to be actionable. And by that, I mean I want people to come out of the event actually having made connections and created, partnerships to go out and do their own businesses. And the other thing we're going to work on is actually having a competition there so people can come pitch their ideas for decentralized businesses and get funded right there at the event, because we've raised capital through our Angel Shares Fund. So we have money there to actually fund other businesses to be created. So we're going to have all this at this event for these 3 days in Las Vegas.
So you're going to have your own sort of Shark Tank going on there.
Exactly. We're careful not to use that name, but because of the TV show. But yeah, we want to do a kind of a Shark Tank style competition. And there'll be a panel there and maybe even a gong if we don't love the idea. But the idea is to have a lot of fun with this. We want to have fun. We don't want it to be boring. We want to have really, really engaging speakers who are good at presenting. And that's what Vegas is all about. So if you want to learn more, come out this summer, and it's not going to be expensive. So come out and check out.
And give us the name of the event again.
It's called Beyond Bitcoin. Go to beyondbitcoin.org to learn more. You can also sign up there if you're interested in being a speaker or a sponsor. And if you're interested in being a speaker, certainly sign up and just tell us who you are and what you'd like to speak about. But we're not going to be focusing on Bitcoin. We're going to focus on everything that's coming as a result of that, the next generation. And that ties into something I want to say as well, is that we believe we're in the third wave of technology. The first wave of technology was the personal computer in the 1970s. The second wave was the internet, which connected all those computers together. And now we're in the third wave, which is the wave of decentralization, which is the invention of the blockchain. And Bitcoin was the catalyst for all that. Bitcoin was the first thing that really worked well for currency, for example. But currency is just one use of it. And if you look at the internet itself, the internet was the decentralization of information. So before the internet existed, you had to go get your information from a central source. You had to go to a library, you had to go get an expert, you had to go get a book. That's where your information came from. Now there's this thing called the internet where all the information is basically free. Anybody can participate or add to it or take from it. That was a decentralization of information. Now imagine every other industry being decentralized. And that's what's possible with this technology, and that's what we're working on.
It sounds to me like you guys are really trying to bring together Mastercoin, Colored Coin, Ethereum, and everything, as opposed to competing with it in some competitive way.
Absolutely. Well, people keep talking about, who are your competitors? And I kind of liken it to the early days of the internet. Now, let's imagine it's 1992 and people are first putting up the very first websites. Right. And you go to the guy with the first website and you're like, well, who do you think your competitors are? And at this time, Google doesn't exist. eBay doesn't exist. Amazon doesn't exist. These are just ideas. They haven't even come about yet. So we are that early in this industry. We really are. And so we believe that this is going to be a huge opportunity for many giant opportunities and companies to rise out of this, not just us. So we originally were thinking about doing an event for BitShares, but we thought, let's do something that's all about everyone that's out there innovating. Because I believe there's enough space for all of us to rule this new world. It's kind of Web 2.0.
So in the same way that Google became the key that unlocked the internet, do you foresee a future of decentralized blockchains and some opportunity for something to come along like a Google that might be the ultimate search engine for decentralized stuff?
That's a possibility. I don't know. I just know the one thing that sets us apart, that's kind of our competitive advantage, which I think makes us a little different from everyone else out there, is we believe that the first rule of business is to make a profit. And if we're not in business, what are we doing? Not that we don't want to do other great things for mankind, but the first thing we want to do is find out how to use the technology to apply it to business and improve business and increase profits and lower costs and all those kind of things. So we consider ourselves to be economists as well as technologists. So we're combining the profit motive with the technology to come out with businesses that actually make money, and those profits are distributed to the people who own shares in them, and they're called BitShares. So the idea is that we're going to first launch our own businesses on the technology, and then once other people come along and use our open source code, they can also launch their own businesses. They don't even have to call it BitShares. They can just use it to launch their own ideas. Then there'll be shares issued in all kinds of ideas. So right now you go to, CoinMarketCap, and you see all the different coins. I don't know how many coins there are, a couple hundred or more, and all these clones of Bitcoin, but there's no profit built into them. And the only way you make money by holding crypto is holding it and hoping it goes up in value. There is no actual dividends being paid. So everything that we do creates a dividend. And some businesses will make no profits, some will break even, and some will be wild successes. But by being involved in what we're doing, you have a little piece of every one of those pies.
So I own, I think, 38 proto shares that are going to soon be BitShares.
Yes.
So for other people out there that own proto shares, what can they anticipate as far as when these proto shares are actually going to become BitShares? And then from there, what do they have to look forward to? Could 36 proto shares end up making me a lot of money down the road, or am I...
Okay, I'd love to address that. Okay, let me clear up something for people, because a lot of people have been asking this. We launched what they call proto shares in November. Daniel Larimer launched proto shares. It was called proto shares because it was prototype shares. In other words, the very first thing we ever launched, which is now known as PTS, because someone owns the name proto shares, but it's PTS. And proto shares gives you ownership in every business that we create and every business that someone else creates. It gives you at least 10% stake in all those businesses. But the problem when we launched proto shares, or PTS, is that the money didn't come to us. It didn't come to us to hire developers. It actually was a coin that was mined, just kind of like Bitcoin. So Daniel said, well, we have to have money to build out this infrastructure. So how do we do that and still honor the original people with the 10%? So he said, let's issue another 10% of these businesses to people that contribute to the Angel Shares Fund. So by contributing to the Angel Shares, we actually, every day, 10,000 of these shares are auctioned off, essentially in an auction. Either by owning AGS, which is Angel Shares, or PTS, you get a 10% stake in all future businesses. So in other words, it's 20%. So it's not unlike the Apple Store when they launched the App Store and told developers to come create these apps. I think Apple keeps way more than 20%. But essentially it allows developers to make money on this platform by launching their apps. And the App Store has been hugely successful for the developers involved. So that's not a perfect analogy, but that's kind of the way to get involved. So the answer to your question, I don't know what they'll be worth. I'm not going to promise they'll be worth any particular amount. But what you're doing is you're buying kind of the master shares behind everything. It's kind of like the IPO of what we're doing. And not just what we're doing, what everyone else is doing. So the best analogy that I can give you is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett bought Berkshire Hathaway in the 1960s. He started acquiring companies, and back then he was slowly acquiring more and more companies that were profitable, to now one share of Berkshire Hathaway is worth over $150,000 because of all the value of all the companies that he acquired. Now that's not a perfect analogy because we're not acquiring companies, and by investing in this concept, you're not investing necessarily in us, what we're doing. You're investing in everything that we're building and everything everyone else is going to build on the technology. So the future value is based on all these different businesses. And like I said, some may not work, some will make a lot of money, but you're going to own a little fraction of all those profits of all those businesses by owning either PTS or AGS.
So now, is it too late to buy PTS at this point? Or is AGS the only option, or you have both options as a newcomer?
Well, that's a good question. Okay, so PTS is on many of the different exchanges. You can buy it just like you'd buy any altcoin. We don't consider ourselves a coin at all, but you can buy PTS through the exchanges. You can also mine it. It's actually, proof of work, just like Bitcoin is. Angel Shares is proof of stake. So when you donate to the Angel Shares address, we have to say donation because we can't legally say it's an investment. But when you donate to the Angel Shares address each day, you get a proportionate number of shares for that day. And we did it auction style so that the marketplace could determine the value. So you could actually donate and get Angel Shares, which right now are not liquid, or you can buy and sell proto shares like you would any altcoin. But either one does the same thing. They do the same thing depending on the market, the day. Sometimes one is a better deal than the other. But essentially, those two together are 20% of all future businesses. That's the best way to describe it.
So I have to say, Warren Buffett never issued an invitation for me to come invest in the 1970s. So this is a very cool opportunity to get in on it now. So I think it sounds great.
Yeah, it's exciting. And, I'm not going to say that we're Warren Buffett. He's a great guy, and I love talking about Warren Buffett. But the idea is that it's not all just up to us. It's really up to anyone who wants to build on the technology. The same way that people have used the Bitcoin technology to create their own coins. It's not much different, except the big difference is we're looking to build and have other people build profitable businesses. That's the number one idea behind what we do is profit. And because of that, it's going to encourage people. For the selfish motive is people want to make money. They don't want to invest in something that doesn't make money. So if you create a business that pays dividends, then people are going to want to invest into it.
So I have, like I said, I think 36.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Proto shares. And I got an email from, I think it was just a personal email from Stan that said you have to get those Proto shares into a Proto shares wallet right now. Otherwise, the exchanges like Cryptsy, for instance, are not going to let you take them out.
What Stan was talking about was that we just launched the initial test chain for BitShares X, which is our decentralized bank and exchange. And in order to get shares in that, you had to have had your PTS in your wallet at the time. So that was our first decentralized business that we're now testing and building out. And so there's going to be many, many more. So you saw the value of Proto shares go way, way up, and then it kind of went back down again because those were issued. People were trying to get their Proto shares, buy more quickly before we started issuing these new shares. So imagine that every few months or however many times that we launch a new business, you're going to get shares in those new businesses. So this isn't the only opportunity. This is just the first one. Down the road, as we go to the next decentralized business, we're going to issue shares in that as well. If you're holding PTS then or AGS, you'll also get shares in that. This just happened to be the first time, so there's a frenzy to kind of get into your wallet. So that's where they're honored from, is your wallet. So,
hey, Lidge, after hearing all of that, are you wanting to buy some Proto shares yourself?
Yeah, I want to stay for the conference, but I'm feeling like maybe I should just go out and find myself a Wi-Fi connection and start getting busy. So a quick question, though. Is this all built on the Bitcoin network and the Bitcoin blockchain somehow, or is this separate from that?
Great question. No, it is a separate blockchain. It's completely separate. It's the same technology behind Bitcoin. You can do all the same things. Like I said, eventually you'll be able to instantly transfer these shares anywhere in the world to anybody with no restrictions. And there's no middlemen. There's not going to be any brokers or commissions that you normally pay. Imagine if you have an online brokerage with a stock market, you have to pay fees every time you buy or sell those shares. It's not going to work that way. Just the same way Bitcoin lowers the cost of transferring money around to just a few cents. It's the same thing.
So if a company wants to get into BitShares, they would have to buy their way in by buying some of the PTS or buying some of the AGS?
No, not necessarily. No, they just have to honor anyone who holds PTS or AGS with 20% of the shares in the new business that they launch. So, for example, the BitShares X bank and exchange that we're launching, we actually decided to do 50-50. We only have to do 20%, but we did 50-50 because we want to give the most value back to the people who supported us, the investors, the people that got involved. So, actually, the only way we make money as an organization is by also owning shares in what we're building. So, if they're not profitable, we don't make a profit either. And that also ties in with something else I want to mention, which is coming up the end of March, we're going to have our brand new website launched, which is going to be bitshares.org. And originally we were known as Invictus Innovations, but we just, for branding purposes, we're going to be known as BitShares. So you can go to bitshares.org on March 22nd and see our new website. And it's going to be all kinds of interesting things on there. There's going to be explainer videos and all that, and a lot more content than what we have now. There's also, you can go to beyondbitcoin.org to learn about our event, which is in Las Vegas. So those two sites are going to be up the end of March.
That's great. And on the subject of the Vegas conference, have you guys thought about inviting Reverend Johnny's big band Down Home Country Jam to play Ode to Satoshi, the new #1 hit in the Bitcoin community there?
That's a great idea, John. That's a great idea.
I hadn't thought about that, but maybe I should put that on the agenda for sure.
Have you heard the song Ode to Satoshi yet on YouTube?
I actually have not. I've heard of it, but I haven't heard it.
Oh, man, it is awesome. And, it was recorded right there in East Nashville, Tennessee at the Toy Box Studio, owned by Lidge Shaw, and of course John Barrett wrote the song. Wait, that's me.
That's
oh
you.
Man,
wow.
So that's great. Anyway, so hey, Brian Page, thank you so much for taking time to interview with us today, and we will hopefully, Lidge and I, be there with our Git Fiddle and Harmonica in Las Vegas. If we get an invitation, we will definitely be there, right, Lidge?
We'll be there for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
And when is that again?
Yes, that's July 18th to the 20th at the Paris Hotel in Las Vegas.
Great. Thank you so much. Brian Page, the marketing director of BitShares. Thanks so much, Brian.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate being on the show.
Brian, as you sign off, just please tell everybody how to find you one more time.
Go to bitshares.org to find information about us and beyondbitcoin.org to learn about the event this summer.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Thank you.
See you in Vegas. So we're back on the floor here at the Texas Bitcoin Conference, and we have Tatiana Moroz with us, who wants to tell us about Bitcoin and music and other things.
Welcome, Tatiana.
Welcome to Bitcoins and Gravy.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Tatiana Moroz. I'm a singer-songwriter. I am very active in the libertarian anarchy kind of movement. I believe that music has a great power to change the world, and I was introduced to Bitcoin in 2012. I guess last year is really when I started getting it, so to speak, and how it could help me with my activism in a way that doesn't require me to stand outside in the cold with a picket sign.
And where are you from? Where would you have to stand outside in the cold if you were doing that?
New Jersey. It's very, very cold there right now.
So tell us about what you do.
Well, I tour very actively all around the country. Actually, last year I got to go to Chile and to Buenos Aires, and I performed there, and I just performed in Berlin at the Berlin Bitcoin Conference, so that was really fun. I also have a talent agency called Same Side Entertainment, which has a lot of speakers, mostly libertarian, but the name Same Side is to remind everybody that we're all on the same side. So I definitely want to open up our speakers, musicians, comedians to political ideals that aren't just strictly libertarian, because even though I'm libertarian, maybe I could learn something from somebody who's coming from a different background, and that's what I kind of hope to encourage.
Okay, tell us more about how Bitcoin plays into all this.
Like I said, I got my Bitcoins in 2012 from Tony Galippi. My first question was, what can I buy with this and why do I care? I did not understand, but as time went on, I saw that the value of it went up, so I was really excited about that. Obviously, everybody likes to make some money. But when I went to the cryptocurrency convention that Jeffrey Tucker threw in Atlanta last year, I played at the BitPay party, and the vibe there was so exciting, and it encouraged me to learn a little bit more. And when I kind of thought about how, using Bitcoin allows me to not support war. When I use $1, I'm allowing the evil empire to go around killing people and bombing people and all sorts of other things in my name, and I don't support that. So as an artist, I think it's really important to help people understand why the dollar is participating in that system is hurting the world, and why using something like Bitcoin can help. Another thing that really interests me is Bitcoin for charities. I think that there's a lot of great ways that you could do microfinancing. You can give banking to people in third world countries that have no access to banking. When I first thought about that, I was like, I hate banks. I don't even want my bank account. But at the end of the day, I actually really need it in order to function. So I think that Bitcoin can really revolutionize the world and hopefully help with the poverty problem.
So essentially, you're describing Bitcoin as a philosophical and political tool to change the world. Let me ask you, how do you see Bitcoin changing the world of music?
Well, I think that there's a lot of innovation coming out right now with, not just the payments, but the DACs and the decentralized autonomous organizations as well. So I would be really curious to see how that would be applied to something like a record label. And also by crowdfunding through Bitcoin, it can empower artists. The Bitcoin community is very supportive of those who support them. So I think that's kind of a fun angle. But yeah, I hope that there'll be more artists involved with this, and not just musical artists, but visual artists and film and different. I think that if we approach people from a creative perspective, I think we'll get a lot of new adopters, and that's exciting.
So when you travel, like to Berlin, are you getting paid in Bitcoin?
Yes, hopefully people tip me. I don't know. I haven't checked my wallet in a while. I have a crappy iPhone. I can't wait to change over.
Do you keep a QR code on your guitar or something? Or?
Well, I didn't really think to do that until a couple conferences in. This is the first time where I stuck one on my guitar.
Nice.
And I had a sign behind me at the Berlin conference, so I'm still experimenting with that. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see if anybody cares.
Well, yeah, I'm sure somebody will. You have to leave it up there long enough, your QR code, so people can pull out their phones and, send some Bitcoin to you.
Well, I hope so.
I will. I'll tip you.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, one of the guys that I met at the conference, he has an engraving machine. So I was thinking either of getting an actual guitar engraved with a QR code, or getting sort of a cool metal panel with a QR code and just slapping it on there. I think that would be really fun. And catchy. I'm going to actually go around South by Southwest next week, and I have the big QR code. I'm going to meet up with that Bitcoin mascot guy, and we're going to kind of evangelize in the street. And I think that people are going to look at that and say, what in the world are these two crazy kids doing? And maybe that'll, get them to interact. I'll sing them a song.
Yeah, be the Bitcoin busker.
Yes, nice. Bitcoin busking. There you go.
Do you have any plans to get a QR code tattoo?
I have a tattoo, and I really think it's not that impressive.
Just be careful that you don't show anybody the tattoo of your private key also.
Yeah, Yeah, no tattoos for me. I've had it with tattoos.
So I want to ask you, Tatiana, are you aware of any really good ways that people are crowdfunding now with Bitcoin?
Not so much. I actually met with somebody from Zenith Coin who was telling me about a really cool project that they're working on that they're going to be announcing in the April Bitcoin conference in New York City. You know, I'm from Jersey, so New York is right over there. I worked in Manhattan for many years. So that'll be really exciting. I also heard about how people were crowdfunding giving the Ukrainians shields. So I don't know even if they did it with Bitcoin, but I just thought that was really cool. Yeah. Somebody said the revolution will not be televised, it will be crowdfunded. So Bitcoin is kind of really fits into that really well. I'm kind of, if anybody's working on that, give me a call because I want to hang with you.
So we don't know of any Bitcoin Kickstarters yet.
Not yet, but a friend of mine who's a Bitcoin enthusiast, he works over at Indiegogo, so I know that he's trying to push for that, but I think that there's been some new regulation put out by the government about having certain things in place where it basically costs those companies like $18,000 or something insane in order to have a crowdfunding campaign.
I see.
So I haven't had time to research it as much as I'd like. Yeah, some sort of, you know, we have to protect you by taking all your money.
So another question, do you think that Bitcoin may help the resurgence of CDs and vinyl records since they're often delivered in things that are shaped like a square, which is just right for a Bitcoin tipping address?
You know what? That's interesting. I'm not really sure. I'm putting out my third record. I think I'm probably going to try and record it as soon as I get home, just right off the bat, because my touring schedule is so hectic and I want to make sure. And the goal for the album is to fund it with Bitcoin and convince everybody along that process that isn't already into Bitcoin, like the engineer, the producer, the musicians, the studio, everybody to accept Bitcoin. And I think that that'll be kind of a fun way of interacting with the Bitcoin community, giving them a sneak peek of what happens in the studio, but also giving them value in terms of allowing them to potentially share that content with others that don't really get Bitcoin yet.
So do you have some ways that you are thinking about now for funding that through Bitcoin? I mean, do you have ways to raise funding?
Well, begging, I guess.
I mean, for example, are you already conceiving of a system in which that will work and you can keep track of things and have tiered rewards for different funding and that sort of thing, like Kickstarter would do?
I'm not really sure how to plan that out. I have a few different irons in the fire. A friend of mine, I don't know, maybe it's a top secret plan, so I won't tell you, but you know him too, was telling me that there would be some interesting ways of doing it. I don't know. We'll see. It's a work in progress still.
Excellent. Well, it sounds exciting. I'm hoping myself that Bitcoin can save the music business somehow. I don't know how that's going to happen, but it seems like it would be awfully nice if it could. Maybe music can be embedded into coins and be one of a kind and not copied. You know, you need proof of work to listen to a song. Who knows?
Well, you know, if you do the DAC thing, which I'm still a little bit shaky on, but I mean, people can actually start participating in your album. So instead of giving you a prize, oh, you get a keychain if you give me $5. Well, now you own a share of Tatiana, you know, so that's something that I want to explore and see what that ends up looking like. And maybe making people feel like they're even more involved, and that fan interaction is good for me because it makes me happy to know that I'm reaching people, and it makes them happy that they know that they're supporting what I do.
What a cool concept to be able to be an investor in a record and own a portion of the record. So I guess if the record does really well, then your investment does really well too.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and it also encourages them to spread the word. So it's kind of built-in marketing as well.
Well, so can you tell our listeners how they can find you? Tell us who you are again and how they can find you.
Sure. One more time. My name's Tatiana Moroz at TatianaMoroz.com. My Twitter is Queen Tatiana, and my Facebook is Tatiana Moroz Music, and my YouTube is Forevermore Tatiana, and people can check out the Bitcoin song right there.
The Bitcoin song. Excellent. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Right on.
Great. Totally cool.
Cool.
Are you sticking around for the rest of the day? And
yeah, no, I'm
tonight?
here. I didn't want to give any of my money to a nation based on war. I wanted to be free, nothing holding me back from where I want to go. I thought about it, what was the choice that I made? Was you take away the money, don't give up your money, use Bitcoin whenever you pay. Use Bitcoin whenever you pay. I didn't want to waste any of my time working for the government. I wanted to be kind, open up my mind, just like an instrument. I thought about
whenever you pay. Use Bitcoin whenever you pay.
So, John, I enjoyed hearing Tatiana's song, the Bitcoin song.
Well, it's an anti-war song, and I think that's great. Personally, I'm anti-war.
I'm with you. I don't like war. I like flowers.
Yeah, I like peace, and I like education. I think that's where the money should be going.
Hey, John.
Yeah, Lidge?
Use Bitcoin whenever you pay.
That's right. Use Bitcoin whenever you pay. So we're here at the Austin Bitcoin Convention in Austin, Texas, and talking once again with Jimmy Song of Colored Coins. Jimmy, how are you?
I'm doing well, John. How are you?
Good. Thank you. So we could talk about a million things. We already interviewed you there at the studio in Nashville by way of Skype about Colored Coins. And it's Colored Coins, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And so let's talk today a little bit about something that's timely, something that's in the news, the Newsweek article that just came out about Satoshi Nakamoto. They found him. What's your take on that, and how can we prove whether or not that guy is Satoshi Nakamoto or not?
It's really hard to prove a negative, right? It's until Satoshi Nakamoto proves that he is who he says he is, like a real Satoshi, this is going to be speculation all around.
Okay, now how would he do that?
Well, he would do that. So there are certain addresses and transactions in the blockchain already that we know belong to him or have been speculated to belong to him. Very early transactions like block number 1, 3, something like that.
Right, okay.
So what he would do is there's a public address already embedded into the blockchain. If he has control of the private key, he can sign a message saying, I am Satoshi Nakamoto. He would sign with his private key and send a message out to the world saying, this proves that I am Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay. And until he has motivation to do that and does that for some reason, there's no reason to think that this is that guy. I mean, there might be circumstantial evidence, you know, I mean, he's got a middle name of Satoshi or whatever. I'm not going to really speculate on that. That's not my area of expertise. But really, to prove it, and you know, in this community, you have to prove some stuff, and it's sort of like you show me the signature or GTFO. You know, that's really the attitude I think most Bitcoiners have, and for good reason. You know, I mean, you're invading this guy's privacy. You know, there are reporters on his lawn, people taking pictures of him all over the place. It's like he didn't ask for any of this, and if this guy isn't Satoshi Nakamoto, I think you know, one of the other attendees and I were talking. You know, we really need to raise some funds and like help this guy out because that's just inexcusable behavior from a very invasive paparazzi-like media, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to take it's hard to take Newsweek seriously, you know, in a lot of ways. I agree with everything you said. So not knowing who Satoshi Nakamoto is or what, could be a group, you know, it could be 3 or 4 guys, 3 or 4 women, whatever, he, she, it, they, as some people say. Is it possible that that entity that calls itself Satoshi Nakamoto would come out and say, here's proof, just like you were referring to, here's proof that that guy there is not? Right? So, in other words, no, I am not. You have not found me. That would be a good message for us to hear, right?
Right. So that would be a little bit tricky. But basically, if Satoshi Nakamoto was somewhere else, he would pretty much have to reveal an identity with it in order to do that. Or I suppose there might be a way to like put him in an isolation cell or something and then have somebody else send that same message. But, you know, those things kind of get tricky because there are ways to do it, like time delayed or whatever. So there's some randomization that would need to go on to definitively prove that he is not Satoshi Nakamoto would require somebody else signing those keys and saying that at a time when it is impossible for him to do it.
Jimmy, you were next door a good part of today at the hackathon. I don't know how many of our listeners even know what a hackathon is. You know, when I was growing up, the idea of a hacker was someone that you'd be afraid of. They're going to hack into your bank account, or they're going to hack into something and do something bad, some nefarious something going on. I don't think that's what they're doing next door. And can you tell us a little bit more about what they're doing? And are they just doing it for fun, or is there any kind of prize at the end?
Well, I don't know if they're doing anything nefarious. I can't tell you because I can only tell you about my team. But yes, a hackathon is basically a place, sort of a coding competition, if you will, where you come up with a good idea. This one obviously centered around Bitcoin, and you try to code something in the period of time that they give you. Typically, it's anywhere from 24 hours to 72 hours or something like that. Okay. And you create some good or service that you might make in software, and people vote on it at the end and give out prizes. I've participated in a few beforehand, and oftentimes the prize will be an iPad or something like that.
Okay.
So for this hackathon, David Johnston of the Mastercoin Foundation and Bit Angels decided to put up $1 million.
Wow.
$1 million. And it's a little bit different how he's doing it. It's not like a prize that's just given out. He's saying he's willing to invest $250,000 into the top 4 hacks or things that people produce that he thinks are interesting and meet a few criteria. And afterwards, he'll participate in a Kickstarter to sort of get this going, and he'll contribute at least $250,000.
$250,000 for 4 different.
Yes.
And these are not necessarily individual hackers, but it could be a group of hackers working together.
Yes.
And are you yourself involved in this?
Yes, I am. So I am with 2 other people. And one of the nice things about a hackathon is you get to work with people you've never worked with before. And there's a lot of different teams. There's some people here from Berlin, some from Israel, all over the country, obviously. So, when you get together, you can, sort of do whatever it is that strikes your fancy. And there was, a period of time at the beginning where people got to pitch their idea and see if they can get people around them. So it's been a great experience. I've been involved in this team. We came up with a pretty interesting idea that we hope wins. Yeah.
Can you tell us about your idea?
Sure. It's called Reputation Coin. And the idea is to leave feedback on Bitcoin transactions on a different altcoin. And, there's a lot of cool things about it, but think of it as like the eBay feedback system.
Okay.
That's decentralized on a blockchain, and, anyone can sort of mine that data and do whatever they want with it for any Bitcoin transaction. So if I sent you, 0.3 Bitcoins, John, for, a bicycle or something, I can leave good feedback or maybe bad feedback saying, this bicycle didn't work, or, I had a punctured tire, or no, John was great. He fixed everything, and it was awesome. So
what stops somebody from creating a bot that's just going to give all this positive feedback and fool people into believing this person or this entity is worth investing in or worth listening to or worth anything at all?
Right. So that's the beauty of this whole idea of decentralized autonomous organizations. And it's that you can set the right incentive system so you can sort of design it right. And one of the things that we're going to do is you need a reputation coin in order to leave feedback on the blockchain. And so it disincentivizes bots because you need a lot of coin in order to do that. So that's sort of the idea behind it.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time once again, Jimmy. Jimmy Song with Colored Coins. And Jimmy, I wish you the best of luck in the hackathon competition.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, we'll talk to you again sometime.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
So John and I had an excellent time down in Austin at the Texas Bitcoin Conference.
Lidge, I have a few regrets.
What were those, John?
There were so many great people there. We only got a chance to interview, a dozen?
I totally agree. There were so many fascinating people down there, and I really enjoyed talking to all of them. There was more content that we could possibly even bring back onto the show.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? That just means we're going to have to go again next year, and we're going to have to go to every conference we can.
Well, I just remember how much I enjoyed listening to some of the other Let's Talk Talk Bitcoin episodes when they would go to some of these other conferences like Miami. And it was fascinating to be able to listen and hear some of the events going on and the people speaking on the floor.
Oh, yeah, it always made me wish that we were there, and we finally had a chance to go. So this is our first conference, a memorable event, and hopefully there'll be many more conferences.
You know, John, I think the one disappointment for me was that on our way out of the festival, Paula Bell was no longer there at the gates to give us a goodbye.
Yeah, I was hoping to get to say goodbye to Paula. She was a lot of fun.
I needed to hear her laugh one more time on our way out. In fact, why don't we play it one more time?
Let's play it one more time, man. I love that idea.
Paula Bell.
Paula Bell. Very nice to meet you. John and Lidge.
We have a radio show. It's called Bitcoins and Gravy.
Really?
Yeah, it's on iTunes.
All right.
And maybe you'll be on it. Who knows?
All right, Paula Bell.
Y'all have a blessed evening.
All right, cheers.
I'll see y'all early in the morning.
We'll
See you then.
All right.
Bye.
Keep it safe for us. We would like to thank our wonderful guests from the Texas Bitcoin Conference, Kelly Neal, Brian Page, Tatiana Moroz, and Jimmy Song. To find out more, visit our show notes at bitcoinsandragravy.com. Thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate your time and attention.
Hey, Lidge, let's also give a special thanks to our friends in Southern California listening in on station KCAA 1050 AM. Tune in Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific Time to hear new episodes of Bitcoins and Gravy. And make sure to catch more great shows from the Let's Talk Bitcoin Network airing all week right here on KCAA 1050 AM, or download all the podcasts from letstalkbitcoin.com or directly from iTunes.
Listeners can find our show notes at bitcoinsandragravy.com, as well as our tipping addresses there. If you have questions or comments, please email us at howdy@bitcoinsandragravy.com.
Howdy, I like that. Lidge and I had just a great time at the Texas Bitcoin Conference this year. We'll definitely be going back again next year, and we hope you all will join us. Thanks again to Adam B. Levine with the Let's Talk Bitcoin Network, and of course our listeners for your tips, which allowed us to attend this great conference.
And remember the Bitcoins and Gravy hotline. Call us at 615-208-5198 and leave us a message with your comments or questions. That's 615-208-5198 on the Bitcoins and Gravy hotline.
If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment and leave a review or comment on iTunes or SoundCloud. Tell us what you like or where we can improve. And remember, it's your reviews that help new listeners discover Bitcoins and Gravy, plus all the other great shows on the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast network. And it's your generous tips that allow us to create the shows. I'm John Barrett.
And I'm Lidge Shaw, and you've been listening to
Bitcoins and Gravy from East Nashville, Tennessee.